Hey everybody, it's been a while since I've done a LEGO themed tier list now, hasn't it? If you've ever watched my Bionicle tier list, which given most of you subscribe for that, I'm pretty sure you did. So, Hero Factory is a LEGO series that was basically designed to be a successor to Bionicle since they decided to kill it off after 2010 because reasons. And there were some people who weren't the biggest fan of it, but given that I was kind of starved for Bionicle sort of stuff in that time period, this was a pretty good replacement. But this series is also well known because it got rid of the old piece system after the very first wave and then replaced it with something completely new. And while a lot of people thought it was super jarring, in the long run, I think it's a natural evolution. I mean, don't get me wrong, I do prefer the old Bionicle sets over this, but you know what? For what they were trying to do, I think this was pretty successful. So I mentioned earlier that a lot of you requested this, and I mean a lot of you requested this one after my Bionicle tier list. And you know, this was probably going to be one of the few ones I was going to do immediately after that one, since, you know, it makes sense. However, no joking, literally the same week I uploaded my Bionicle tier list, I got recommended a Hero Factory tier list from this other guy whose name I definitely remember off the top of my head. And after seeing that that was a thing, I watched a little bit of it, and it kind of soured my desire to want to do a Hero Factory tier list in the moment, because I just didn't want to like step on this dude's toes or anything, you know? I think enough time has passed since my Bionicle tier list. And, I mean, I made a Weird Al tier list to make you guys have something to watch while waiting for this one. Because, again, a lot of you really wanted me to do this. And that's another thing. So, you know what? I figured now's a pretty good time. So, we got the tier list. We got Goats, Awesome, Bricked, Will Own for the Collection, and Failure in Design. So, it's basically the same as my Bionicle tier list if you've seen that. And statistically, if you're watching this, you most likely watched that one. And then, of course, there's Never Owned. I have not owned all of these, but I do recognize all of them, so there's not going to be a what the fuck is this shit, and I'm not going to get a ton of comments telling me how much my opinions suck for not liking Fikou Spider or whatever. Like, it's a piece of plastic.
Get over it.
Also, quick disclosure, if you were hoping I was going to be a glazing fiend like I was with the Bionicles, yeah, as much as I like this series, I don't like it nearly as much, so if you're hoping I'm going to be a glazing fiend, then you're going to be a little disappointed, just a heads up. Oh yeah, by the way, I had to reorder these in release order again, just like the Bionicle tier list. Yay! But thankfully, there's not nearly as much this time around, so it's not going to take me 3 hours to do this. Okay, so starting off, we're going to be starting off with the heroes. And so, if you've watched the Bionicle video, then you know I wasn't exactly the nicest to the Matoran sets, because there was a couple reasons for that. One, whenever it comes to the smaller sets, they're just a little less interesting than the Toa or the other bigger sets, because you can't really do as much with them. And two, I completely blanked on mentioning in that video, one of my biggest problems is that they just kind of feel like they get sloppy seconds with, like, they don't really get as many unique parts. Instead, they just get like their unique masks and that's about it, and they just reuse older pieces from older sets. Here, though, that's kind of a different story, because every single one of these heroes gets a ton of unique love in this series. And, like, for instance, there's the rookies that they get their own unique weapons. They have the same armor and the same chest plates and all that, but they have their unique weapons. Okay, I say unique, a couple of them do get reused. Like, Breeze is the only one who gets to keep her original boomerang shooter thingies, whatever the hell those are supposed to be. And then there's the veterans, like Stormer, Bulk, and Stringer, who get their unique arm cannons. And these arm cannons look really cool when viewed from the front. Like, personally, Stringer has always been my favorite of these guys because I love the color scheme, and also he's a musician in the lore, I want to say that's true. And, you know, I gotta respect that. Like, my brother was a huge musician. Go check out his YouTube channel, by the way. And they get their own unique chest plates, so I feel like I should like these a lot better. However, if you look at them from the front, they look very fun. They look very fun and interesting. But then you put them on the other side, and their weapons look very hollow and just look cheaply made, and it looks so distracting. But in terms of what they accomplish, and like, since they don't have Bionicles to compare to, the bigger set, since these are the only heroes you get in the first wave, I think they're effective. I mean, they do suffer from not having a lot to do, and also this is the first wave uses the late Gen 1 Bionicle pieces, which means they all suffer from brittle bone disease, so you have to be very careful with how you handle them. And like my Stringer had one of his leg parts break pretty quickly, so that's not fun. So I think, like, on paper, I like the veterans better on paper, but in practice, like, that hollowness does kind of hurt them a bit. But for what they are, I like them fine enough. So I think that means they go in B tier. So I'm going to rank them from favorite to least favorite. It's going to go like this. They're about equal. They're all going to be in like the lower B tiers, but for what they have, yeah, I think they're pretty solid. Okay, so the way I'm going to do this instead is I'm going to be covering the heroes in the first half and then covering the villains in the other half of the respective wave. So we're going to go ahead and move on to the vehicles, which are the only vehicles in the series, if I remember correctly. So first of all, we got the Furno bike, which, like, since Furno is basically the protagonist, at least for right now, he gets the special treatment where he gets his own motorcycle, and Furno himself doesn't really change all that much. Like, he gets, he gets his limb color changed for some reason. He loses leg armor, and he doesn't have his weapons, and also they change his feet. Which, as someone who has had all of these sets, I can confirm that doesn't really affect the placement of where you can put the legs. There's a part on the bike where you can put the feet and connect them to the bike, if that makes sense. Okay, I'm definitely not making sense. But, I mean, whatever, it's not that big of a deal, so I can't tell you why, but I avoided this one for a while. Like, I couldn't tell you why, but when I finally got my hands on it, I was like, you know what, I've been sleeping on this one. Like, the bike itself, I'm pretty sure that they just copy and pasted it, like, a blueprint from another LEGO series, like a Technic bike. I'm pretty sure the blueprints are almost exactly the same, but I am too lazy to do research, and even then, I'm not gonna, like, knock points for that if that happens to be true. But, like, this is a very simple but very effective bike. Like, it functions exactly like how a bike would in real life. Like, you can turn it, and the front wheel moves, and he's also got 2 pea shooters. And also, he's got the kickstand for extra stability. I love that little attention to detail. Like, they didn't have to add that in, but I think that's very effective. But, like, I love that this series, despite not being Bionicle, it kind of is Bionicle spiritually. They reuse a lot of the older parts from the series. Like, for instance, this one has those giant Axelara shields on the sides and the Borok visor. I think that's very clever way, and I love that they continue to reuse some of those old pieces. I really don't know what I was smoking in order to think this set wasn't that good, so I think this is S tier. I think this is a really good one. I like it. And then next up, we got the dropship. So in terms of piece count, this is the single biggest Hero Factory set in the franchise, since it didn't last too terribly long to be able to get something that usurped it. But from a design standpoint, this is basically like one of the vehicles from the 2008 Bionicle set series, except it's just like more futuristic, wonderful 101-esque kind of design, I suppose. But in terms of the function, this one's a lot less interesting than those vehicles, since on one side it has the metal sphere shooter from the 2008 sets, and it also has this function on with the wings, where the wings go up and then the laser holder thingies. I'm sounding really stupid right now. I don't know what those are called. You pull a lever and those are meant to hold one of the canisters. It's like a dropship. Like, yeah, that's why it's called the dropship. You can drop the character's canisters, and it's like heroes on duty. Like, okay, that's a really cool feature. Like, it's kind of gimmicky, but for what they're trying to go with, it's pretty interesting. And also, the cockpit design is kind of fun what it's trying to do. I guess if I had any minor nitpicks, like, my biggest problem is that the pilot, he is a little cramped in there, and you can't really move him all that much. And also, I have had brittle bone disease problems with that. In that sense, like, I feel like I should, like, dock points for it, but for what it is, I'm not comparing it to the Bionicle series, otherwise it would be, like, B tier, like most of these would be in, like, B or C tier compared to Bionicle. But we're not doing that, so I want to say, yeah, it's effective, and yeah, I really don't have a lot of complaints with it. I'd say this is also another S tier. The vehicles are pretty solid for what they are within this series. And next, we're going to go ahead and go onto the villains with this, and for the first wave, the villains are effective, but I think it's got one of the lesser rosters overall. Let's go and see. So starting off, we have Corroder, who's like this big, I think he's like, he kind of gives me like Rhino vibes from Spider-Man with the like big horn, and he's got these like giant green claws. And also, fun fact about these is, and a fun fact with me, I guess, is that a lot of these sets have stickers. I hate stickers on these sets, because if you don't put them just right on the thing, it looks awkward, and it's like, oh, but you can't take them off, otherwise they'll tear and just become disposable, so, you messed up, now you gotta live with it. Now, I'm not gonna be judging these sets harshly because of that, and also, you might notice with this set is that his upper leg parts look very weird, but, that's because they were reused from the Ben 10 Lego sets, which, does anybody remember those? Those were originally supposed to be the Bionicle successor, but they just didn't work all that well. No one wanted them, and they just stopped after, like, the very first wave. So, they're just like, I guess we gotta use them somewhere. And, yeah, a couple of these do have those parts, and, like, I'm not going to judge them harshly because of that, but it looks so weird. It's just something I wanted to point out. So, like, on paper, this set is not bad, but it's also got a couple snags that I really don't like. Like, first of all, like, the pea shooter is on his arm, is on his shoulder. And, like, there's nothing wrong with that. It is a little wiggly, but, I mean, it's effective for what it's trying to do. I guess he's supposed to be like this. And second of all, I think the direction with this guy is that he's supposed to be like this feral animal crawling on all fours. And, like, it looks cool, but if you, like, try to stand him upright, it looks super weird. And also, you can't do a whole lot of posing with the arms themselves. And I also want to point out, I've had issues with this set, specifically with the hands, because the brittle bone disease rears its ugly head, and those have popped off so many times, and both of the hands broke super easily. It's like the only set of these that I've had the biggest problem with. And another thing is, I don't know why they insisted on giving him the extra claw on his back. I mean, okay, I guess, but I mean, without it, it makes him look like he's suffering from bulimia. And from the front, he just looks like he's straight up naked, and I don't know, it just looks so weird. He's the weird one. Like, I don't hate this one, but like, I'm not that I've always never really cared for him that much. So like, a couple things I like, some things I don't, so I guess C tier is appropriate. And I mean, he's fine, but the others are a lot better. And speaking of which, next up we have Explode. So this, for some reason, this guy is the only one of the 4 villains of this size to not reuse any of the parts from the Ben 10 series. And compared to the other villains, it's striking. It's so jarring that you have 3 of them that use the upper leg pieces, and then this guy who just doesn't. But I mean, first of all, I love the color palette of this dude, like the striking black, red, and orange. It's so cool. And he's got these giant spikes all over his body, and one of my favorite details is that he uses the Krika foot, and it's like, again, I love that they repurpose so many old parts just to give them new life in this series. I love that they do that. And like, the arm design's pretty effective. I mean, he's got some like loose pegs that do look a little weird, but you can't see them all that well. And honestly, compared to the others, there's not a single thing I have to dislike about this set. And yeah, he's very effective. Like, I really like this one, so I'm gonna put him, I want to say A tier. I think he's simple but effective. I really like this one. Okay, so next up we have Meltdown. So when I was younger, this one was always one of my personal favorites because of the striking yellow, lime green, and cyclopean design. And yeah, again, he's got the Ben 10 armor, and it looks really weird, but again, I'm not holding that against any of these sets. So yeah, like bright yellow and then a mixture of lime green is such a really cool color scheme, especially since he's supposed to be like the Hazard the hazardous dude with like the toxic waste, and I love the detail of the toxic waste barrels on his back, and then the pipes that connect to his arms, and it's so visually striking. He's got the giant pincers. I think that the Calamot tentacle is really effective for what it's trying to do, and it looks more like a toxic spray, but I guess in that really shitty Nickelodeon cartoon that they made him a whip. Also, why does he have a hand in the cartoon? It looks so cursed. And yeah, this one has always been very effective. My one complaint with this set would have to be the pea shooter, and this is not an isolated incident. This like Thunder also has the same problem, where it's loose and it just wiggled back and forth and it looks so weird. I mean, it's not the end of the world that it does that, but there's another set later on that kind of does what this is trying to do, and it does it a lot better because of what it's trying to do. But like, that's a nitpick, and for the design and for the concept, I love this guy, but he does have that one problem. So I think A tier is effective. Okay, yeah, that's perfectly fine. Like, I do like this set a lot. And then next up we have Thunder, who, when I was a kid, this one was always my favorite of the three because, well, I mean, of course he's got the same stupid Ben 10 armor, but thankfully he's like one of the last ones to do it in this wave. He's got the same build, but he's got like completely different feet. Was this one of the first sets to use these feet? Oh, no, wait, no. The Bionicle Stars use those feet. I fucking hate those sets. But, like, the Explode and Meltdown have the unique armor, have that special armor from the 2009 sets as part of his chest. Here, though, he uses, like, a more bulky, angular sort of armor deal that he uses for his hands as his chest armor. But also, he's a very asymmetrical set, like on his left arm. He's very skinny arm with the pea shooter, and he also has half of the Madame Nui blade. And then the other is like more bulky, and he's got like the 3-prong pincer crusher thing. This was my favorite part of the set, and it just looks so cool, and it was very satisfying to mess around with. I mean, the bottom one is a little more loosey-goosey, but I mean, for what they were trying to do, it's very effective. But the problem with him is that the exact same thing I mentioned with Meltdown just now, is that it's a little loose again, and like yet again, there were like several ways they could have fixed it. They just decided not to do it. Again, it's not the end of the world. It's just a minor nitpick, but for what it is, it's effective. But I love the design so much. This was by far my favorite of the three, so he gets high A tier. So starting off, we have Rotor. First of all, he gets a lot of brownie points simply for having the Brutaka blades. Again, if you've seen the Bionicle video, you know how much I love those. Like, you get so many brownie points from me just for those. And I love the implementation with this one, where it's literally just a propeller. Like, that's pretty much where he gets it. Like, a lot of the color palettes on these sets are just so well done. And, like, compliments to this one, they didn't just cop out and reuse the same pea shooter design like they did with Thunder and Meltdown. Instead, they did the pea shooter in a very different way, where it's put onto the peg of the set instead of just like on the circle and just making it super wiggly. Like, and looking at this one, I'm just like, why could they not do that with those two? And another thing to mention with the Rotor is that you can move it up and down. It does not get in the way in the slightest. I mean, you gotta like put it sideways, and it does kind of take up a lot of space on the shelf. But, you know, like, that's pretty effective. That's unfortunately where a lot of my compliments end. Like, the weapon is fine, okay, but like, for real, my main criticism rather with this set would have to be the way they made the legs. So like the legs themselves are perfectly fine. I like the feet. I like the reuse of the Toamata feet and the leg armor. That looks pretty cool. And the side, but it's the way they try to stabilize this set that really holds this one back. So it's like they're trying to do a similar thing that they did with Tuma from the previous set, where they're trying to give it more stability. Like, they have the Titan, he has the default Titan peg on the back of his leg to give him more stability, but they decide to give him extra stability by adding these parts on behind his legs that connect to his upper butt area. And the way they implement it is just so awkward and so haphazardly done that I have had these parts break several times, and combined with these sets' horrible obsession with brittle bone disease. Again, why did they think these parts were a good idea? And like, it's just hard to describe. Like, the way they did it was just so like, they've proven that they can do it pretty well, and there's another set I'm going to talk about in a minute that does it just as effectively, but like, it's so awkward. I hate the way they implemented it, and it's just so, like, this set is well designed and also just horribly sloppy at the same time. Like, that is just such a failure in design. But I mean, he's not F tier because I love the Brutaka blades, and everything else about the design is really good. It's just low C tier, bordering on F because of the leg design. That's just inexcusably bad. And then next up, we have the big bad of the series, the first wave anyway, is Von Nebula. And fun fact, in that shitty Nickelodeon cartoon, they somehow got Mark Hamill to voice this guy, and I don't know how I feel about his voice in this entire, as this character, because he's trying to do like this gritty esque sort of voice, but then he breaks out into the Mark Hamill Joker voice. It's so jarring, and I don't think it really fits this character at all. But you know what? Who cares about that cartoon? It was terrible anyways. But we're talking about the set itself. So this, I think, this is the only villain and one of the only sets in this wave that does not have a pea shooter. So I don't know. I guess he's just kind of beneath that. But like, he reuses a lot of the parts. Like, this is basically like edgy, spiky Hydraxon who walked in out of a Spencer's, because like, he's got the explode spikes on his arms, and I love the color palette of this dude with black and silver with like hints of blue. The blue spikes really stand out. The Balrog shields on the top of his body, and then his main torso is like the Makuta from 2008. He's got the Hydraxon foot chest plate, the exact same one, and he's got Hydraxon's mask. And like, I love the implementation of a lot of the parts, and also the weapon is very striking. It's not the most flashy thing in the universe, but like, the function is that you can spin the blades, and also I love the core. Like, it's like a black hole sort of thing with like blue and purple. It's very striking. And the leg design, I will say, is definitely a choice. Again, so the thing, like, the complaints I had with Rotor, they basically did what they did with him. It's way better implemented on this set, so I'll go ahead and give it that. However, I do have a couple nitpicks, and some of the decisions for this guy were just very strange. Like, for instance, the arms have these like huge gaps, and they just look so strange. I don't get why they made his arms so short. You can't really do a lot with them. Like, there's plenty of posability for what they are, I suppose, but like, they could have changed it just a little bit to give his arms more extension. I think some fans have done that before, but I'm not judging that based on fan designs. But like, they could have, for real, they could have done more to like cover up the arms. He's just like nothing but bone and just like a little bit of skin. And also, the leg design is weird. I will go ahead and give it that. For what they were trying to do, it's not bad, but it's just strange. Like, they have like the legs in front, and then they have the pole supporters on the back of the legs. Here, though, it's kind of the inverse, and again, it's not bad. Like, I can see what they're trying to do. Like, when he's squinting down, looking like he's trying to take a dump, like that, it makes for an effective pose. But you can put it upright, and it just looks so cursed. Like, you would have to see the set in person in order to get what I mean, but it's so bizarre. And yet, surprisingly, he is still the tallest of the first wave because of that. But, I mean, there's plenty of things I like. So, again, this is kind of a middling set. There's plenty of things I love about it, but it's also got some nitpicks that hold it back. So, I want to say top of B tier is perfectly fine. If it wasn't for those weird issues, then this might even be an S tier set. But as is, now he goes in. Would you go over there? Thank you. And now for the final set of Wave 1, we get a bonus set called Bulk and Vapor, which I believe was exclusive to Toys R Us. Yeah, I'm old enough to remember what Toys R Us is. Yeah, if you remember what Toys R Us is, then you are applicable for a senior discount. But anyway, so this is a limited edition set and I think, yeah, I think this is the only one that is a limited edition set for Hero Factory, and compared to some of the other good limited edition sets like Umbra. Not the best example, or Mutran and Pecan. Yeah. So, okay, so before I get into it, so let's go ahead and start off with Bulk. So, Bulk, he's basically the same as he was in his OG set, but they just decided to give him a bit more flair, so he's like, instead, he's like dual-wielding weapons. And he's also got a jetpack, so that's pretty nice. And then there's Vapor, who is kind of like the same build as Thunder, but he gets the weird Matoran legs as arms. So on paper, I love the weapons. Like he's got the orange pipes that connect from the back to his weapons, and like, I love the one on the right hand with, like, the pincers and the scope visor. Like, I think that's pretty cool. And then there's the other one, which has the Keyrox blade and turns into another pincer. And he's got 2 shooters, so you know this is an elite set. At least that's what I want to say on paper, but man, I've got so many problems with this set. Like, first of all, he doesn't have stickers, which, I mean, I complained about because that's like more of a personal thing. I'm terrible at putting the stickers on there properly, and that should be like a benefit, but I don't know. Without the stickers, this one just feels a little lifeless without them. But starting off with my complaints for the Bulk set is that he gets the two guns. He's left-handed, so he's got like his basic one on his left hand. And what they did is they gave him Stringer's gun on his right hand. And I mean, I'm not against the dual wielding, but like I don't get this. Why do they have to give him Stringers of all? I mean, I guess it makes more sense than giving him Stormers because that would just clash so hard. But I mean, they could have done something a bit more unique with that. I mean, granted, they usually don't do anything super unique with the limited edition sets of, like, the later years. But, I mean, they could have pulled a Toa Lacan and then just given him, like, a unique weapon here. And then there's Vapor, where most of my complaints come in. So, like, yeah, he doesn't have the stickers, and, like, the color palette is just really, really gross, in my opinion. So he's also got the weird Ben 10 leg armor, and then, but they're just, like, bright blue. It feels like it clashes a little bit with the orange, and I think it just looks so bizarre. And then there's like his left claw, which like it has the same problem with the pea shooter like Meltdown and Thunder, where it's all super loose and it doesn't stabilize. Well, here it's exasperated even harder because it's supposed to be like a pincer thing, but the pieces are so loose, and it feels like a child designed this one, trying to decide how they felt about like what a good set was. And also like with the color palette, I have to complain, like they went out of their way to give Vapor the rotor mask, but they colored it blue. And with Bulk himself, his armor is slightly darker chrome. Like the silver parts are slightly darker chrome compared to the original, but you're telling me that they gave the rotor mask but blue, but they couldn't code the color of the Stringer weapon to make that chrome as well? I mean, I believe that might clash a little bit, but like they could have done so much more with this one. This set never really clicked with me all that well, and man, this set just kind of pisses me off a little bit. So they've done simple but much better effective with the limited edition sets in the Bionicle series. This one, for being the only limited edition set, this one is just lazy and so offensive to me. So yeah, that puts it failure in design. Like even the right pincer thing on Vapor is not enough to save this one. I'm sorry. Well, that was a pretty sour note to end on the first wave, but next up we have wave 2. So if you grew up with Bionicle and got the first wave of Hero Factory, and then you saw these guys with their weird part system, and understandably, I also freaked out. Like, it's so jarring going from Brittle Bone Disease to these things. Like, it almost feels like a completely different company making these sets. So I was not on board with the piece system at first either, but upon further examination, I kind of like the part system of this a lot better than the Brittle Bone Disease. First of all, they're a lot more sturdy, so you can take them apart and put them back together more often, which I have done. I've created my own personal fusions of some of these, and they're not foolproof though, because whenever I had to take a couple of them apart to like put them in bags before I moved into my apartment because I didn't want to take them with me, one of the parts did in fact break. that's probably because it was just sitting on a shelf for so many years and time and erosion and all that. But like for the most part, these parts are very sturdy, and I really love that. And also, it gives the heroes a lot more posability this time around, which I really like, and it does add to a lot of creativity. Sorry if you didn't like me complimenting these as much, but I mean, if you like Hero Factory, then you're clearly watching this, and you clearly agree with me. And so let's go ahead and start off with the heroes. So a lot of the heroes don't really have their any unique functions except just like better posability, but they're mostly carried by their fundamental designs. Like there's a lot more you can do with them. The weapons are really unique, and also the masks or the visors are also a lot more interesting this time around. And like your personal preference on which of these you're gonna like more or less is going to heavily depend on the visor and the weapon. Like for instance, Verno has this really cool laser shooter with like the spinny blade sort of things, but then he's got those weird fucking binocular visors that makes him look like a horny cartoon character. Yeah, sorry if I ruined that character for you by saying that, but that's exactly what it makes me think of now. 4 out of 6 of these have these unique shooters, and then Surge and Breeze, on the other hand, Surge gets a unique sniper rifle, which I think is a pretty cool direction to be taking him in, which they don't fully commit to, unfortunately. And Breeze is like the dual wielder. However, they also introduce 2 new guys. They replace Bulk and Stringer with Evo and Nex. I've always loved Evo's design because the bright yellow is striking. The weapon looks really cool, but my favorite thing about him is that he has the color purple. Like, I love the fact that they bring purple in with some of these sets. It's a very underrepresented color within Bionicle's history. But yeah, they're very simple, but extremely effective. So I want to say A tier is a very good place. I'm going to go ahead and order these guys based on how much I like them, based on their weapons. Evo was my favorite. And then, of course, Verno loses because like he has those Auga eyes. Yeah, again, sorry if I ruined this set for you. And next, we're going to go ahead and go with the villains. And I think overall these villains are a massive step up in a couple of ways. So first of all, we got Drill Dozer, who has always been my favorite. So like he's kind of like the stereotypical strong dude with like big bulky upper half, and then he just skips on a leg day. But like you notice, this dude's got some very asymmetrical spike design. So Death the Kid would probably look at this set and have connections. And like so on his left hand, he's got like the pickaxe, which is effective because these are basically like mining robots, I want to say. But like he's got this crazy demon mask thing with the horns that makes him very striking. And he's also got a unique chest armor that's the long part underneath it, and then the big broad shoulders with the spikes on the right. And then the star of the show with the set is obviously the drill arm with the flames coming out of the elbow, and the pipe that connects from his shoulder all the way to the drill. The drill is also just a ton of fun to mess with. And he's also got like his pea shooter is connected to like a tail sort of part on his back. And then one detail that it feels kind of unnecessary, but honestly, I personally really love it, is that there's another part on his tail that connects to his arm holding the drill, which, I mean, I assume, which just gives the flavor that, oh, this dude is like so strong that he can lift it, but he needs like the extra support just to be able to lift that thing. It's so heavy. Like a lot of people do complain about it, but I think it's a really cool detail. I mean, yeah, sure, it's got like a loose ball socket on that part, which is a little jarring. But I mean, for what they were trying to do, I think this is a very effective set. I love this one. This is probably by far my favorite of Wave 2. This one goes in S tier. I love this one. I'm serious. And then next up, we have Jetbug, who's more symmetrical. So, I mean, if you're a Death the Kid enthusiast, you're going to like this one a lot more. So, like, effectively, this dude he's like very tall with the Paraka feet, and like he's got a total spike fetish, and like he's got the bug face with the big pincers and the front claws. Like, it's a very simple but effective design, but I love the jet propeller wings on this dude, and it gives him a lot of flavor. And the color palette's also really effective with like bright yellow and reds and oranges, and with some chrome thrown in there. Like, it's like my second favorite of the wave, I want to say. Also, I want to bring this up real quick. So I mentioned that they completely got rid of the brittle bone disease parts. However, whenever I got my particular set for Jetbug, for some reason, the parts holding his feet, hands, and head were of the brittle bone disease variety, and it was just so jarring. I was so afraid to like try to take this one apart because I didn't want to break the hands. So like, anyone in the comments who has had this set, did that also happen to you? Like, was this a common thing with Jetbug or any of these newer sets, or was I just like really unlucky and like I just happened to get the 1 in a million that actually had the brittle bone disease parts? Like, I'm not holding that against the set. It's just something I want to bring up, so let me know. Yeah, this one also gets an S tier. And then next up, Nitro Blast. So like on paper, I love the design of this dude. Like the bright red mixed with the dark chrome color is really effective, and he's got the flames on his right shoulder and also the blowtorch. Like, he's kind of like got an inverse of what Drill Dozer's trying to do with the bulky left arm as opposed to the right one, and with a skinny left arm. Right arm? Man, I cannot talk today. And so I want to say I love the blowtorch arm. Like the pipe that connects to it makes it look really cool. And again, I also love like the canister on his shoulder with the spikes that makes it look like flames are like spewing out a little bit. However, I gotta say there's like a part that connects from the front, from his left arm part to the blowtorch arm, because it's connected to like another part that's connected to his back. And like on paper, like okay, sure, but I don't know, in practice it just looks so jarring, and like the parts have these weird colors that make them stand out. Like, maybe you can make the argument that I made with the Drill Dozer, where his arm is also very heavy, so heavy that he needs the extra stability in the lore, but I don't know. This is supposed to be like the Mad Doctor sort of character. Like, you can tell that giant green eye on his face. But I mean, like, it's not my favorite because of that. It's just a very jarring decision. It's effective, but it's like the one thing holding this back from S tier. So I want to say A tier. I do still like this set quite a lot. It's just that I think that design's a little strange. And so next up we have the Fire Lord and the main bad guy of this wave. So yeah, we didn't really have a whole lot to get through with this wave. This is, I think, the smallest wave in the history of the series. So like, when it came to time to try to make the first Titan set with this new piece system, this set had some big shoes to fill, and for the most part I think it was very effective. So I'll go ahead and talk about the things I love. Like, again, this dude has a very striking color palette with dark chrome, bright red, and orange. Like, these dudes all have a very strong, effective color palette, and I think this one benefits it the most. Like, and also the leg design is just super smart with like the two parts. Like, they don't need to have the stabilizers like they did with the older Bionicle sets, because the parts are just so much stronger. And I mean, I've heard some people complain that there's like no leg armor on his upper legs. It just makes it look kind of weird, like he's not wearing pants. It doesn't bother me that much, but I mean, I feel like it was fair enough to like go ahead and mention here. And I love like the molten rock and magma armor parts on his arms. The shoulder pads are like movable, parts that can be like implemented as a jetpack as well. And of course, the start of the show, the weapon with the Axelara armor, and of course the Ferno blades, they look so damn effective in this one. I love the implementation, and like the main design, the artwork just makes them look like you're fighting Robo Satan, like a more effective Robo Satan than the actual Robo Satan in Futurama. So that's pretty good. Like, this one feels like it should be A, maybe even S tier. However, you already know what it is. But there's one part of this set that just completely ruins it for me, that I just kind of blanked out of my memory for some reason. The way they try to stabilize some of the parts. Like, so the stabilizing of the legs wasn't necessary, but the way they did it here was effective and perfectly serviceable. I'll go ahead and say that. Like, it does have some stability issues, and some of the parts could break, but the way they did it was fine. There's nothing wrong with that. And then but for some fucking reason, they decided to do that with the arms, and the way they implemented that for the arms is just so, like, whoever designed this set, why did you think that was a good idea? Like, seriously? Because like, you're trying to stabilize the legs. You do that with the legs, but you're trying to do that with the arms. It just looks so awkward. It's just such a massive failure. Like, you can easily break this set super hard. The posability suffers hard because of that, and some of the parts have broken a little bit, and it just makes me think, why did you feel the need to do this? So, like, yeah, that's a major design flaw. Everything else about it is fantastic. So, I don't know. I want to say, like, F tier feels a little too harsh because everything else about the set is just fantastic. So, low C tier. Also, again, okay, yeah, I like him better than Rotor, but, man, that's just such a glaring flaw. It makes me think, why the hell did you even bother doing that? But as is, it's a 10 out of 10 set with, like, a 2 out of 10 horrible design flaw. And then next up, we're gonna go ahead and go with Wave 3. So it's like the designs of the heroes are basically the same, except there's more of a jungle jungle theme sort of thing. So they're based on animals. And yeah, just like with the Wave 2, they don't really have the pea shooters, but with these ones, because some of them have these claws, like they get more usability and more posability with them. They also got a brand new hero this time around with Raka, so let's go ahead and talk about him first. And because their designs are a little bit more unique, I'll go ahead and quickly cover my thoughts on all of them. So Raka, first of all, I like the fact that they kept introducing new heroes, but unfortunately they kind of dropped the ball later on in the series where they could have just kept introducing more and more heroes, but then they just stopped after this for some reason. And Raka is effective. First of all, I love the color scheme with the white, the bright white, and the gold color palette. And also, because something later on I'm going to go ahead and mention, they kind of wanted this dude to basically be the new protagonist. So I thought Inferno was going to be the main protagonist. Like, it seems like they were going to go that route, but then they just kind of double back super hard with this one. And then they just started glazing Raka, because I mean, first of all, he gets like the coolest weapon, one of the coolest weapons out of the heroes in this wave with the 4 claws. It looks super vicious. However, I do have one problem with the set, in that the head is way too big. And because he's based on a lion, because I mean, they wanted him to stand out a little bit, but compared to his size, like, his head is just way too big. Like, yeah, maybe stop going to the mentally exercising at the library, you fucking doofus. But I mean, I know why they did it like that, but we're going to talk about that later. And so he's going to go slightly above the 2.0s in A tier. Next is based on a saber-tooth tiger, and he's got like these weird precision blades on his arm, and it looks pretty effective, like the orange and the bright green, and it's a pretty solid design, so he goes below him in A tier. Stormer's based on a rhino, which, okay, fair enough, I suppose, but like, he's got the bulky left arm and the weapon in his right hand, like, you can ball up into a fist, I suppose, but because rhino, I guess, but I don't know, rhinos don't have claws on their hands, so he also goes below an A tier. Bulk has always been probably my favorite. He's based on a wolf. Wolves are really cool, but he's got these really sick wrist blades, and those are extremely effective. Like, the mask looks super cool, so he's my favorite. He goes at the top of there. And Stringer, who was my favorite of the original, he comes back this time around, and he's based on a bear, and I don't know, Bulk and Stringer are my favorites of this one, so he also gets A tier. Like, my opinion on these guys changes depending on the day. And then there's Furno, who's my least favorite, because I'm pretty sure you know why. Love the bow, love the wings, he's based on a hawk, so that's effective. Why is he not wearing pants, though? Like, why did they decide to do that? That just looks so wrong. Like, the design is effective besides that, but he's my least favorite of all these, so he goes at the bottom of A right now. Like I mentioned, that they were trying to, like, push Raka to be the next protagonist, because, well, guess what? In this wave, he gets his own XL version, and when I was younger, I thought this was, like, the single coolest looking design in the entire series, because, I mean, just looking at him on paper, like, this design is so fucking cool. Like, I mentioned the head being a little too big on the original. Here, the head is perfectly well designed for the size of it. He's got like spikes all over his body, and also he's got the giant claw on his left hand, and the giant claw I thought was like the coolest set of all time. So if this was younger me, he'd be top of S tier without question, but this is not younger me, and I've gotten a lot older, and yeah, I've got a couple problems with this set, especially in hindsight. And so first of all, yeah, I said the design is really cool. It still is, but at the same time, looking at it now, like this set, the design feels a little overblown. Like there's like way too many spikes going on. And I don't know, am I the only one who thinks this? Like, go ahead and let me know in the comments. Like, he's got like 6 spikes on his shoulders, blades, and a couple spikes on his ankles, and like and then he's got a spike on his on the armor on his right arm. Like, I don't know, I don't know. It just feels really weird. Also, with the claw looks really cool, but the spikes on his hand do not stay stable. Like, they will twist and turn and pop off so easily, and that's honestly a huge problem with the set. And yeah, he's also got like unlike with Firelord, he's got like this armor piece on his belly, and it's like super wiggly, and because of the way they designed it, I feel like they could have done that a little better, but it probably looked kind of weird. So I mean, whatever. But I feel like there's like 20 different ways they could have fixed this part. And like, his skeleton is basically just a copy-paste version of Firelord's. Like, first of all, they gave him more leg armor on his upper legs, so that kind of covers up the Firelord issue. And like, the stability is also a lot better on this one, so like the legs connect to the waist a lot better, so it gives him better stability. However, you already knew it was coming. Because this is a Firelord copy, he has the exact same problem that he has with the fucking arm stability. Again, they probably knew this was a stupid idea. Why the fuck did they think it was okay to copy it with this one? This set probably would have been like A tier at the very least, but that holds it back so much. I don't have anything new to add that I didn't already mention before. Like, again, that is such a massive fuck up in design. Like, this set is also just like another half so many good things, half so many bad things that, I don't know, I do have a bit of nostalgic bias because of the design being really cool by itself. But again, yeah, he goes above Firelord because they do fix a couple things that set had, and also because he just looks way cooler. But if not for that, he'd be F tier. Okay, so now we get to the villains, or the quote-unquote villains this time around, since it's like a jungle theme, like the animals are based on like creatures that are being possessed by the main villain. And first of all, we got ourselves Waspix. So basically, this is just like a bipedal wasp sort of thing with like the really long, elongated claws. It feels like this set is like trying to do a sort of Garast sort of thing, and with like the 4 arms and like the really weird design legs, and like she's got like, it's got the blades on the top arms. And then one thing you'll notice is that the hands are like very strange. Like, these are also parts of the Ben 10 Legos that were used, like stuff like Spider Monkey and the Crystal guy whose name I don't remember, and so they decided to use that. And like, this is a wasp with like the wing on the back. And yeah, overall, I think this is a really cool set, and also I like the stinger. So overall, I think this is a pretty effective set. Not the absolute favorite, but like, it's got a great color scheme, cool design. It doesn't have any functions, but not every set needs to have a function. So I think A tier is pretty effective. I like this one. Next up, we got Rawjaw. So, like, you kind of need to be told to your face that this is supposed to be a gorilla, because without that knowledge, you would assume that, like, what the fuck is this Doom monster doing in my children's toy series? Because, yeah, this thing absolutely does not look like a gorilla. You just kind of have to take the developer's words for it. But, like, it's a big, stupid unga bunga bitch with the big arms and then the tiny legs. He's also using a couple more Ben 10 pieces, by the way, with his tiny rock-looking feet. Front arms are also very effective. They're very big. They're very movable, and he's got like tiny fingers. So I think that's really cool. And he's the only quote-unquote villain to have a function. You can move the jaws up and down. I think that it looks really cool for what it's trying to do. But man, this, again, you really need to be told that this is a gorilla, because again, it doesn't look like a gorilla, and the tail has always looked kind of weird to me. I was originally going to rank this higher in my head, but then looking at it again, it's just a mishmash of weird designs. So I want to say B. Bottom of B is perfectly fine. I think he's solid. And then we got Fangs, which on paper, I feel like this should be a slam dunk, but man, I've got some things that I gotta say about this one. So compliments first, like, it's a big old wolf. So like, wolves are really cool. Of course, he's got the intricate wolf-like design. Okay, what is it with this, with all the sets just skipping leg day? And yeah, so the color palette's also pretty nice with chrome, orange, and also I keep forgetting to mention it, but all these sets, all these villain quote-unquote sets have these spikes that are like black and red, and it's very, very striking. Like, they don't really use this specific part all that much. And so that's cool. And from the sides, like, the face looks pretty cool. However, that's the beginning of my complaints with this set, and oh boy, I've got a lot of complaints with this set. So from the side, the face looks perfectly a-okay, but then you look at it from the front, and he's got these like giant buck teeth, and like, okay, you have to tell me that this looks like a wolf. Like, if you took the mask off and showed it to me from the front without any knowledge, I swear this was like the design for a fucked up turtle or something. That's what it's always looked like to me as a kid, as a teenager rather. And second of all, like, the proportions on the body are so weird. Like the legs and head are like on the exact same elevation, but then the tail is like super far up the back, and in person it just doesn't look all that natural. The back armor spikes, like, some of them are a little wiggly and it's a little immersion breaking. And then also, one of my last problems with this set is, why does he have harpoons on his mouth? Like, I think the designers thought this would just be a really boring set without them. So like, oh, we gotta add some flair to keep the kiddies happy. But like, in practice, it just looks so odd and so gross looking. I like, man, thinking about this, like, this set really is just a convoluted, boring mess. And yeah, this is like without question the worst set of the wave. So that goes in top of F tier, because at least they were trying to do something compared to Bulk and Vapor. But yeah, this set kind of stinks. But on the plus side, we got ourselves Scorpio. So unlike with the Skull Scorpio that I talked about in the Bionicle tier list, here though, it feels like they tried to make themselves an effective Scorpion without trying to do anything over the top. So it's very arachnid sort of design with like the 6 legs and the front arms. The hands are a little weird because it uses the Ben 10 hands as well. But you know what? It's fine as is. Like, I like the leg designs. I like the tail. For a set that's only like barely above 100 pieces, trying to pass off as a Titan set, I think the design is actually quite ingenious with the tail getting extra stability. I do think that the middle legs are a little on the small and stubby side, and they just look super weird and a little lazy, I'm not gonna lie. But the rest of the design is very effective. And also one thing I wanted to point out with the Fire Lord and Rocket XL sets, thinking about it, I think they partially added the horrible arm design to these sets because they were trying to like make the sets a little bigger to justify the $20 price tag. But like, this right here is proof that they could have done the smaller piece count and the price a little bit more justice, because like, there's no justifying the arms here though. I think it's perfectly fine. Like, it's not a perfect set, but I think it's very effective what it's trying to do. So I think top of B tier is pretty effective for this set. Hero Factory has had plenty of sets that have become an absolute favorite with some people, and a lot of people look back on the series pretty fondly. However, if there is one set that absolutely stands head and shoulders above everything else, it's without question this dude, the Witch Doctor, the main villain of Wave 3. And holy shit, this set is an absolute monster of a set. So let's go ahead and get on with it. We got a lot to talk about with this dude. So first of all, I keep mentioning it, the color palette of this dude is very, very effective. Like, he's big, black and white, and then he's, but with also like hints of like dark red. The dark red just pops so well with this set. And then also, like, he's a very spiky dude, and it looks very, like, the design overall is just so menacing. And like, the design of the set itself is just, holy shit. Like, they pulled out all the stops. Like, this, piece-wise, this is the second biggest set in the entire series. They pulled out all the stops with this one. Like, the leg stability, they keep with like the multiple parts. The feet are intricately designed to where you can move them in like multiple directions. The same goes with the legs, and like, they gave the set so much stability with the legs. The leg design just gives off a very demonic look with like demon goat leg sort of design, I suppose, if you know what I'm talking about. And then the torso is also very uniquely designed, and the arms also have like, the ball joint parts are like, have multiple ball joint parts attached to the shoulders to give it extra stability. And man, this is, Like, it's very hard for me to describe, but man, you just have to like see this set in person just to see how effective it is. And also the pea shooter looks really cool with the blades on the back and then the pea shooter up front. And holy shit, like building this set, it just made me think, dude, how the hell were they allowed to cook this hard on a set? I guess if you wanted me to complain about the set just a little bit, like I kind of wish that the staff was a little bigger. Like, I think there's like a concept art of the staff that makes it look a little different, but like that's just a minor nitpick. The staff itself is also very well designed and very interesting. Yeah, again, how the hell did they manage to cook this hard? Like, whoever designed this dude, like, man, I hope you got a pretty good raise for this one. If you took this dude out of Hero Factory and put him in Bionicle, honestly, I think this set could actually compete with some of the top dogs of the Bionicle series. In fact, I think at worst, this dude would be like top 10 sets in Bionicle. I'm dead serious. This is a fan favorite set, and for very good reason. So he actually gets his own tier. Like, there's not a single set that comes close to how good this one is. If it's good enough to compete with the best of Bionicle, then that is an amazing accomplishment. But next up, we've got the Wave 4 sets with the Breakout. So this is kind of a weird one where they took one wave and just split it up into two halves and then released some sets in the winter and then other sets in the summer of the year. And they basically just did that for every wave going forward. When I was younger, I ranked this Breakout wave as the single best wave in the franchise. Nowadays, there's some good ones in this set, but we're gonna get into that. So first of all, heroes first, and so we're starting off with Raka. So like every single one of these heroes, for the first time ever, is like completely unique from the others. So we're gonna be talking about these motherfuckers for a little bit, so get used to that. So with Raka, this is the very first time he gets his own unique mask. Since he was not in Wave 1, he gets like his own unique mask, and he's got like the visor, and like he's got a gold chrome palette, and I love the pea shooter, where every single pea shooter for the heroes is like gets more design flair with like the upper half of the set of the pea shooter, and they get their own unique colors on some occasions. I really like that. Like his particular pea shooter is like a giant crossbow with the blades being able to move, and he's also got this harpoon ammo belt that connects to his back to this one, and I really love that. And I also really love the hexagon shield that he has on his right arm. And also, one thing that every single hero in this series has is like these cuffs, because all the villains broke out. Now you gotta go catch them. Blah blah blah. Like the cuffs are just like a little bonus sort of thing. But Raka, like for his his second outing, I think the set is great. Like I think he's a great one. He goes up an S tier. Oh yeah. Also, unfortunately, every single hero gets their own unique. Gets this little core with a code on the back for like an online game for like the Hero Factory website, and I would be willing to bet my entire life savings that website and game are no longer playable. Next up, we're talking about Evo, and oh boy. Okay, so I ranked Evo as my favorite of the Wave 2 sets during his first introduction, because it was a very striking character with like a purple. First of all, they got rid of the purple. They just did not bother committing to the idea of giving this dude a purple color scheme, and it kind of pisses me off a little bit. Second of all, this set is just so boring. Like he's supposed to be the strong dude, but like they made him a small set for some reason, and the only strong indication is I don't know. He rubs one out with the right one a little too much, I guess. And like he's got the pea shooter. What else does he have to stand out besides like his ugly ass mask? Like it looked effective with the 2.0 set. Here though, it just looks so fucked. I really never liked this set at all. Like it's not the worst. It's just like this goes to the top of F tier because there's nothing wrong with it fundamentally. It's just so fucking boring. But on the plus side, we got Surge, who's also another smaller set, so I guess you can use him to tell Evo how it's done. Like, Surge gets a return. Unfortunately, he's not exactly the sniper type this time around, which I kind of would have liked if they went in that direction a little more for him. But instead, he's got like the pointy shoulders, which that kind of hurts posability just a tiny bit. It's not enough to hurt the set all that much, but he's got a very striking blue and lime green sort of deal, and like there's a little too much on the lime green on the arms, and I think that it looks slightly weird, but it makes up for it with the weapon. He gets his classic weapon back, but this time it's blue. I'll go ahead and say, like, I am a sucker for elemental powers that are of different colors, like blue, green flames, or blue and green lightning. Like, I love when they do unique shit like that, and I like that the set implements a lot of lime green. It's just a little too much, so that kind of keeps them out of S tier. But I want to say B tier is pretty effective for this set. Well, I like this one. And then next up we have Furno. So the theming of this set is extremely weird. So the theme is like, oh, every single villain that's been captured and put in jail has escaped, and now but there's so many of them, they gotta like send every single hero out to go for a specific one. And they made the fire guy go after Jawblade, you know, the shark. That's like willingly sending out your mag cargo against your opponent's Kyogre. You just don't do that shit. Also, weird theming aside, this set has some weird quirks about it. Like, he's got bright upper leg armor, and I don't know, that just looks kind of weird. His left hand has these weird armor parts that just kind of have this weird cohesion, and also it does hurt posability just a tiny bit. And then I will give up, I do like the harpoon on top of his red cannon, and I love the chest armor. Like, I think the chest armor looks really cool, but that's kind of where my compliments end, because again, with the theming really hurts this one a lot. Again, for some fucking reason, they had the fire guy go underwater, which, okay, whatever, but they implemented these water propeller things on his shoulders. And the way they did these is just so fucking stupid. They put them on his shoulders, and, like, they take up so much space. Do you know what's in between a person's shoulders? That's called the head. And, because his head is so big in proportion to where they want the propellers to go, it gets in the way and hurts his posability. And so you gotta, like, tilt him back a little bit. Okay, fair. But then he's also got these pipes that connect from his back that go under his armpits all the way to the front of the propellers. Like, okay, what the fuck? So, like, since you have to lean them back, it makes connecting them so awkward. Man, that always pissed me off. They tried to do something unique, but the way they did it was just so fucking stupid. So, yeah, that also puts him in F tier. Like, this set is just, ugh. Well, on the opposite end, we got Breeze, who comes back, and, you know, for being the only female hero, they gave her unique feats. Anyways, yeah, so she is the only hero, besides Stormer, actually, now that I think about it, had to have her own unique feat, and they basically just repurposed the 1.0 hero feat, and you know what, it's effective for this one. I like the rockets on her legs, but she's also got, like, a bit of white. It's kind of the same thing they did with Furno. I think that's a little better for this set in particular. She's got, like, big broad shoulders, which, I mean, that's fine, and with a striking red pea shooter, but also the big sword. The big swords are also effective, and also she has the exact same hexagonal shield that Raka has, except it's bright red. I love when again, I love that. It's very striking. So yeah, this is another very simple but effective set. I'm not the biggest fan of the white on her upper legs, but I think this is one of the better sets up in A tier. I think this is a great set. And yeah, so that kind of does it with the heroes of the first half of this wave. So now we're moving on to the second half. So we got Nex, which is kind of like what they did with Evo, except I feel like they butchered him a little less. Like, first of all, yeah, the mask is pretty ugly. And again, they kind of completely butchered his color palette. Like he was like orange and green, and then they just orange and white, and it just looks so boring. I mean, unlike with Evo, at least there's more going on with the rest of the design. Like, he's got an antenna on his right shoulder, and then he actually gets a weapon, which is like a laser cutter sort of deal, like that. And I mean, to its credit, it's unique. Like, the only problem is that the laser itself does pop off pretty easily, and it is a little wiggly. But I mean, it's yeah, okay, yeah, so this one I also don't have a whole lot to say about. I'm not a big fan of it. Again, compared to Evo, at least there's more going on, so C tier is fine, I suppose. And then next up, we got Stringer. So we got my favorite hero from the original wave coming back this time around, because he's like the music guy, and they decided to go a bit more into the music angle this time around. First of all, he's got like these unique shoulder pad things that look like subwoofers for like speakers, and he's got a unique gun weapon, which correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it looks very similar to that of guitar, so it's like a guitar bazooka sort of deal. I think that's really cool, and I mean, yeah, it's got a little bit of wiggle room, but I think it's effective for what they did. So yeah, it looks like a guitar, so I think it's effective. And yeah, I feel like this should be a slam dunk for me, but you might notice there's one very strange design thing with him that I mentioned with Evo, is that they completely butchered his color scheme for no justifiable reason, except they did it a bit more extreme. What is Stringer's color palette? Like, he's black with orange. It's a very striking color palette. And with 3.0, they kind of changed it a little bit, but it's like black with yellow. It's, again, very striking. They made him black and blue, basically looking like someone's black eye after getting punched in the face. Besides the unique designs of the character's chest armor, that's like the only thing about the rest of the design I like that I didn't mention up to this point. Like, why on earth did they give him black and blue color scheme? It's just, I don't know. I was like, oh, we gotta have a blue hero this time around, but Stormer has blue on him, and you already had a blue hero with Surge. So why the fuck did they change his color palette this much? This has always bugged me so much, and like that drags him down a couple tiers for me. He would be like A tier if it wasn't for that, but man, they drag him down so hard. So top of C tier, shame on you designers. Okay, so next up we have Bulk, who unlike the others has been a lot more faithful. Like, he's more dark chrome than he is like light chrome this time around, but at least he gets to keep the orange color palette, I suppose. So like, he's got the basic design, he's got a bulky leg armor, and he's got the pea shooter. And also, for some reason, he doesn't have a unique connecting part on his legs or arm or whatever to carry the cuffs on him for some reason. But so their brilliant idea was to just hook them under his armpits. However, what I and plenty of other people who own this set have discovered is that you can just cheat a little bit and put them in the hands of the characters, so you can just do that. I don't know why they didn't do that. And also, a compliment I have is I love the rocket launcher that's on his shoulder, and yeah, I mean, it does kind of like stick out like a sore thumb in some parts, but the way they designed how it moves up and down is also really ingenious. The problem with the set, though, is it has the same problem that Furno has, is that the shoulder pad armor is connected to right next to his head, and unlike with Furno, you can't exactly like put it back to give him more posability with the head, so that's like a pretty big design flaw. The rest of the design, though, is pretty effective, so I want to say top of C tier as well. So he's like my third least favorite because of that, but I mean, for what they were trying to go for, it's fine. And then next up, Stormer gets his own XL form where he gets bulked up, like bigger legs. And one thing I really like about this set is that they didn't try to like copy and paste the Firelord design with this dude, but instead this time around they just copied the Lego Hulk design from basically the year prior. So like, he's got more arm stability. It's basically built exactly the same as that one Hulk set, except he's got like slightly bigger arms than that one, and it looks a lot better than that one, which that one just looks stupid. And you'll notice that he's got like these thrown sort of things all over his arm, and yeah, he's also got a fuck ton of stickers, so I hate that. But I mean, I'm not judging that much. And also, the sword is pretty cool. I don't really know what to say. Like, I guess the feet are a little on the strange side, but I mean, it's fine. I don't really have a big problem with that. So I want to say top of B tier is a pretty good set for this one. He's solid, he's effective, he's just fine, I want to say. Okay, so if you're noticing that the tier list might look a little different than what it was a second ago, well, that's because whenever I left off, I continued to be rambling off into the universe about the rest of these sets until I realized an hour later after I finished that Bandai Cam decided to stop recording, so I have to do the second half later in the day. So if I don't exactly sound as enthusiastic as I did in the first half, that's why. Anyways, we're gonna go ahead and continue with the villains of Breakout, and yeah, let's just say they're a bit of a mixed bag. So we're gonna start off with Toxic Reaper. So with this dude here, like when I was younger, for some reason I ranked this as one of the worst villains in the entire wave, because I don't know, I was just dumb and I thought he was just really, really ugly and had no function, so he's obviously F tier. But looking back on it, like, I think this guy's got a lot of charm attached to him. So like, he's got very tiny legs and they're very skinny, and he's got a lot of lime green and black, and like, of course, he's got the goblin face with like the weird things on his cheeks. And also, he's got the those tiny little canisters on his back that connect to his hands that spew out the green flames, and I think that's a really cool detail. And honestly, this guy is just a very charming little dude. I really like the design on him. I don't know what I was thinking when I was younger. I think this guy is going to go up in A tier, which is where I put him at. And then next up with Jawblade, and okay, so there's a couple of these sets that are fan favorites. Jawblade is, unfortunately for him, not one of them. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the good out of the way before I get into it. First of all, like, conceptually, the design is actually pretty cool. It's a shark dude with arms, and he's got Furno's blades, and like, maybe that's why Furno decided to go after him. He's like, hey, those are my blades. You can't take those, you fucking asshole. And unlike Toxic Reaper, he actually has a function, and as a result, he's got a very interesting color palette with like the silver and the red and the orange. It's really nice. However, that's where the compliments end. So like, the arms, I don't really have a problem with them. It's more so with the feet. So first of all, like, you play with him, like, you're messing around with him, posing him, and like swimming his tail. But what do you do whenever you put him down? You just like lay him belly flat like a pancake? In that case, it just looks super weird. And then, but the other option you could do is, I don't know, just flip the feet fins upside down and then make him look like he's got tiny little legs. But even then, like, he just looks so fucking stupid. And also, he's just looking straight up. It's almost like he's looking up at the stars, like, with so much wonder. And again, it looks so fucking stupid. And so, like, what do you do with him? Do you just like put him in water or something and then just let him float there because he's a shark? And I'm like, okay, great. Hope you don't mind scraping algae out of the really hard to reach spots on that set. And then if you go with the option I did, then he doesn't even look like a shark anymore. I was like, one thing they should have done that they ended up doing with the water fish thing from the Bionicle reboot. I'm not really that much of a fan of that set. They compensated with not being able to pose it by giving him a little stand that you can put him on, so it doesn't look like he's just awkwardly laying there on the ground. Which is what they should have done, and they definitely could have done it with this set, and yet they just didn't do it for some reason. Like, I don't get this. Like, there was such an easy solution. They could have just done it, but as is, this set is just terrible. Like, I don't think anyone's gonna argue with this one. This one is F tier easily, the worst one of the series so far. But on a more positive note, we got ourselves Splitface, who is supposed to be like an homage to Harvey Dent / Two-Face from Batman, with the half mechanical, half fleshy sort of look with him. So you're like Death the Kid and you really get absolutely crazy by fucking asymmetrical designs, then this is gonna be your worst nightmare. Like, the left side is like red and fleshy, and the plates are like circular, and he's got the pea shooter with like the laser thing and the pipe that connects to his back. And then the other side is like all mechanical, gray, and more jagged, and with the two claw things. And it's a very cool design. I really like the way they implemented it, and the chest piece is also very cool. Like, they kept it half and half. Although I think like a small nitpick I have with this set that could have been rectified if they really wanted to is like create a unique half foot on the back, because on his back he's got a foot to like the pipe on there. But I mean, it's a nitpick. As is, I think this is a really good set. I really like this one. So he's gonna go up into A tier. And then next up, oh boy, do I have a lot of things to say about you. Okay, so one thing I forgot to mention with the Breeze and the Breakout set is that for some fucking reason, I have no idea why they did this, these two were originally supposed to release in the first half of the year when these sets came out. For some reason, again, in America, we did not get these two sets immediately upon them all coming out, so we had to wait till the summer to get these two I really don't get it. Like, as for Breeze, I felt a little justified because that ended up being a really good set. This one, okay, so let's go ahead and start with the compliments. So first of all, I like the idea of this set. It's like a flying mosquito hornet sort of thing. And I love the fact that they reused one of the parts from Black Phantom set, just give it pure black with the red eyes. I think that's really cool. And I love that they reused the Garast wings. And would you believe me, that's where all my compliments end, because that's absolutely where all my compliments end. So, like, fundamentally, this design is just kind of a disaster. There's not a whole lot to go around with, and, like, I get that that's what they wanted to do. They wanted to try to give him, like, some sort of unique design. It just doesn't work because he only has, like, the 3 limbs. Like, he has the 2 front legs and the tail. The front is a little too bulky. It looks okay at first glance, but from viewing it from different angles, it just looks so weird. Which, speaking of different angles, second of all, this dude has, like, the most pinchable waist in the entire LEGO canon, I swear. Like, he looks like he could eat plenty of sandwiches and hopefully gain a couple pounds. Third of all, because he only has 2 legs and a tail, it has the same problem with Jawblade. What are you supposed to do whenever you're supposed to put him down? Are you supposed to put him down on the tips of every single one of them? The problem with that is that the tail is not hard rubber, very bendable at the tips, so, like, if you just do that, you're just gonna ruin that piece. So what do? You just gotta curl the tail up, but even then, that just looks like he's stinging himself, and it looks so stupid. And speaking of stupid, like, why the ever-living mother of fuck does he have these 2 pipes that connect from his claws to his wings? That just looks so bizarre. Like, what do you think is gonna happen? He just flaps his wings, and then, like, I don't fucking know, like, those things are gonna move up and down like one of those inflatable arm things over at the car dealership. And also another personal thing, I don't know if anyone's gonna agree with me, but this is my personal opinion, the color palette of this set is also just a complete disaster. Like, I like the black and the silver and a little bit of the red, but then for some reason his parts also have orange, which, okay, fine, but then he's also got random bits of baby blue in there for some reason. Like, why on earth does he have the baby blue? It's like, this set is just such an incoherent mess of a design. Like, seriously, nothing about this set works. And you know what? Calling this set an F tier would actually be generous. So you know what I'm doing? In fact, I'm gonna give him his own unique tier because he absolutely deserves it. This shit, it goes into G tier. This set is unbelievably terrible. Like, seriously, younger me, why were you losing your mind over this abomination? But of course, speaking of abominations, and one I think that was designed like that intentionally is XT4, and that name stands for Extra Tough with 4 Arms. And why, yes, viewer, I did just throw up in my mouth after saying that out loud. Now, this was another set kinda like, well, it's just the opposite of Thornrex. For some reason, I liked that little piece of shit, but I hated this one for some reason. Because, I mean, yeah, it's also kind of an asymmetrical disaster, but unlike Thornrex, I think this one was done intentionally and a lot better. So, like, I like the legs, like the 4 incomprehensibly weird asymmetrical arms with, like, different weapons attached to them, the stingers. He's also got a giant buzzsaw, a similar laser cutter to Nex with the, like, little claws on there. So I like all that, and it kind of gives off the vibes of, like, Bastion or Kilgore, where they were, like, super powerful weapons, but they were just kind of locked away for some reason or another. Which, I mean, I guess kind of makes sense, because he looks like an unfinished disaster. A really cool set on paper, but it's also got a couple problems. And it mainly has to do with 2 things. One, the weapons are a little awkward, and, like, the saw is a little too big for him, which, okay, flavor-wise, but it kind of clashes with another thing I'm going to get to in a minute. And then the laser cutter is also kind of wiggly. It goes back and forth once since it's only on 1 peg. But I think there was a workaround that they could have done is just by flipping it upside down, so that way it's stable. And I mean, sure, you can't go ahead and move the claws however you want, but, like, who gives a shit? Like, you'd rather have a set be stable than, like, wiggly, I suppose. And, oh yeah, another thing I forgot is that it's just like Next, the laser is a little fragile and it loves to pop off on occasion. And the third and biggest problem I had, which was the number one reason I hated this set for so long whenever I was younger, and that's because of the pipes that connect to the front. And they connect to his arms, and because of that, they get in the way so frequently and they get tangled up. It's just a mess. So, like, I'll give it a little credit because, again, it seems thematically appropriate, but in practice, it's so awkward to, like, pose this thing because, again, the pipes just get in the way. Like, I think a simple workaround could have been maybe to just, like, I don't know, put them on his back. I don't know. Thematically, it's brilliant, but in execution, it's awkward. So, like, I want to say that puts him at, like, the bottom of B tier for me because, like, there's a couple, or top of C tier, I want to say, because there's so many good things, but it's just those problems really dragging the set down so hard. And next up, there's going to be Voltic. So whenever I was younger, this was just, like, kind of one of my favorite sets ever. And at one point, I even said I liked it better than Witch Doctor, which... well, I was a fucking idiot, am I right? So, Breakout really loved to recycle the Black Phantom mask and use it for like 3 different sets. But not that that's the biggest deal in the world. I think they do it pretty well on this one. And like his design is incredibly simple with just a little bit of flair, simple legs, simple arms. His arms are a little stubby on the side, which that is a minor problem I do have with him. But he's also got these electrical spark things that are the sides of his face that jut out forward, and then on his back you can flip them up and down. It doesn't really do anything, but it is very flavorful. And also, I love the pipes that connect from the back of his head and his back to his arms. They're red and blue. It gives off a very positive, negative ion energy sort of feel. And then what else I also really like is that he has the Kalama tentacle, which I don't know if it represents either electrical shots or maybe it's a plasma whip. Either way, that's badass as all hell. So with all that said, like, I think this set should definitely deserve S tier, but upon thinking about it, there's a couple nitpicks I have that kind of pile up. So, like, first of all, the shooter's a little on the bland side. I don't know. I feel like they could have done a little bit more with that. I mean, it's not the end of the world, but I feel like compared to what the heroes have, they could have given him something a little more interesting. And second of all, I'm gonna sound like a hypocrite for saying this, but I don't know. I feel like this set just has a bit too much purple. Like, there's a bit of a color imbalance. But, like, as I've complimented how much I love it whenever Bionicle and Hero Factory sets use purple. But, like, I don't know. I think this one uses way too much purple in the set. And that also leads to a third thing. Like, the chest piece is kind of like the heroes of this wave, except it doesn't have a pattern. Like, as much as I dislike some of the other heroes in the lower tiers, like this one, at the very least, they have unique patterns. This one is just a blank canvas. It feels like they could have done something, but for some reason they didn't. Why didn't you just, like, do an electrical thing? Like, kind of like what they did with Surge, just a little more erratic. But, like, as is, the set is still very, very good, but I don't know. This one just has a lot of this one feels like it has some missed potential. But as is, like, there's a plenty of things I do like about it, so I'm gonna put him up in A tier. I do still like him, but like, he could have been so much better. And then next up we have Core Hunters. So upon waiting on anticipation for these sets in the summer, like, this was the design I fell in love with at first sight because it's just a bunch of edgy bullshit. Yeah, that's it, because he's just the edge lord of this entire series. Very simple design, but he's got a lot of black with like bright red, and his mask is like this siphon filter vision goggles. He's got like the red spikes all over his arms and back, and he's also got like the pincer claws. He's even got an ammo belt that connects from his back to his gun. Like, that's so cool. I love that. He's got a very fundamentally solid design. Like, I guess you could also argue that like one of the weaker parts is that he has like an exposed ball on his back where the extra pair of claws are, and like the back claws do kind of wiggle a little bit. It's not the end of the world. That, and there's also a thing I completely forgot to mention with a couple others. So like the gimmick of the wave is the heroes have these cuffs, and then you put the cuffs on the villains. It's like, oh, you played too much Fortnite, now you're going to jail, mister. Unfortunately, there's a couple of these villains where that just doesn't work, like Toxic Reaper and Jawblade. Their arm builds just do not allow that to happen. And yeah, Core Hunter is also another one of those. Lower arms are like very stubby, but I mean, that's not the end of the world, honestly. And like, I just gotta go with my gut. This is like one of my favorites of the wave because just simply the design, and like, there's not a whole lot to name about him that's bad. So S tier he goes, baby. And now we're moving on to the rest of the Titans of the wave. We have Black Phantom, who design-wise is literally just a skeleton used for Firelord and Rocket XL. And this is like the third time they do this, and at this point I'm just like, oh, come on. No, can't you just do a little bit more originality? But like, in terms of the execution, this one has, fortunately and unfortunately, the best execution. He's got like black with dark red and also hints of lime green and chrome with his pea shooter, which is also like a little spider creature. You can take him off, and he's got like a little buddy. That's cute. And he also has like the upper leg armor for Firelord haters to not complain about that. And the weapon also looks really cool. Like, it's just a giant mace with a sword at the on the opposite end. It's so cool. Like, the extra arms are cool, I suppose. However, what they did with this guy is that they completely fixed the arms. I'm like, thank you. It took you like your third time to do this entire set and do it correctly this time. Because I cannot stress enough just how much of a fuck up the arm design for Firelord was. But, so what they did is they have these little parts that were also on Stormer XL, which elongate the parts a little bit, but they add like extra friction, so it gives the weapons more stability. And it just makes you think, damn, why couldn't they have done this with Firelord or Rocket XL? Like, that would have saved the set so much of a headache. Yeah, as is, like, he's very simple. He's not super, he's very simple, and he's more fundamentally better than Firelord and Rocket XL just because of the arms alone. But this is the third time they've done this, and as a result, it's just not impressive anymore, so I would say B tier is pretty good for him. Yeah, he's a very fundamental design, very solid, but, you know, it's just, you know, too little too late at this point. And last but not least, for a breakout, we got ourselves Speed Demon, which, first of all, I fucking hate that name. Like, why couldn't they just call him Speed Demon? Kind of like with Toxic Reaper, whose name just sounds like a bad 2000s rap artist name. And then, like, I guess they just didn't want to take the risk of, like, getting copyright infringement or something like that. But as is everything else about this set is really cool. He's basically like this really skinny dude with like a ton of spikes, golden spikes on his body. He's got like extra pair of arms with like these samurai swords. Like, it's just a very nice color palette. And then he's got the bike, which this bike, just looking at it first glance, it feels like it was made for the Joker, because it's also like lime green and purple with like lots of silvery bits. Like, you could argue that it's more of just a copy-pasted version of Inferno Bike, because the build is almost exactly the same as that one. It's just this time around it doesn't have any pea shooters, but instead it's got like extra armor and the surge blade and the surge spark blades on the sides, which makes it look like he's going really fast. And he's also got like spikes in the wheels, which I guess you could say this bike is really helping him compensate for something that he's severely lacking downstairs, if you know what I mean. But yeah, this set, like, I should dock points because like it's literally just copy pasted from Inferno. But no, I'm gonna be a hypocrite and I say I like it a lot better than the Inferno Bike. S tier easily. Also, fun fact for everyone else but me, I had to pay $40 for this set back when it first came out, when it was normally $30, because, I don't know, Toys R Us was just a total asshole about prices sometimes. I don't get it. And so next up we have Brain Attack. So this particular wave is based on the heroes adorning like knight helmets, so it's like a very mechanical medieval knight sort of deal, versus against these creatures, these wild animals that are being possessed by these brain creatures that are like possessing them and making them go crazy. And I'd say overall, like, some of the themes are a lot cooler in this one than they were in Breakout, but the heroes are also about the same. Okay, so let's go ahead and go on with it. Raka, this time around, he's more like a small hero this time. And like his build, yeah, you know what, it's really not that much different from the previous iteration of the character. But going first, I want to say I love the heroes having all these visors that just go up and down, almost like a knight's helmet from like a futuristic setting. And every single one of the heroes has these like claw things to protecting their hero core, and it's just there to be like a cool factor. He's got like a green lightsaber, and a couple of these characters have shields. Raka's shield, it has like the blades you can spin around. Like, you'll notice that like none of the heroes have like the traditional pea shooters that they had up to this point. And now that I think about it, yeah, they just completely stopped doing it up until until the Invasion from Below series. But you can also take the shield off and put it on his back, so, like, that's pretty cool. Overall, I don't really have a lot to say about this set that I dislike. I think it's a pretty good set. I'd say A tier? Bottom of A tier is a pretty good spot for him. He's very fundamentally sound. And then next up, we have Breeze. So, first of all, I want to say I'm a little disappointed that they, by making her more like green and chrome, but they're just completely taking away her red. Like, red and lime green was just such a solid color combination for her. But as is, like, her design, she's more or less the same as Raka, except with a buzzsaw shield and this weird bow dual blade thingy that you can put on her other hand. However, the problem with this is that they're a little wiggly and they're not super stable since they're on circular pegs. But I mean, as is, it's still a pretty cool set, and it kind of puts her below Raka. So I want to say right here in B tier is perfectly solid. She's fine as is, but she could have been a little better. So while I was in the middle of working on this tier list during the brain attack segment, there was just something that was really bugging me. Like, low-key noticed it while I was recording lines, and then it finally hit me right after Breeze. Where the fuck is Bulk? Like, I looked throughout the entire tier list to make sure I wasn't crazy, and yeah, no, the Brain Attack Bulk set is just not here for some reason, so I might as well go ahead and talk about it real quick. And this is my least favorite variation of Bulk by far in terms of design. Yeah, honestly, it's my least favorite hero in the entire wave. Like, he's not bad, but he's just kind of the weak one. Like, the best things I can say is I like the drill, and that there's like a little pea shooter on the drill spins, and yeah, that's about it. Like, the color scheme is fine, but man, the mask is just so ugly. I really don't like this one. And so for the rest of the video, you're just gonna have to use your imagination for this one, because this is like one of the only tier lists for Hero Factory I could find that had most of the sets anyway. So if I had to, I would say he would be like in the middle of C tier somewhere, but like the ordering isn't the most important thing in the world. But just know, whoever the hero that I put the lowest in this particular tier, Bulk is like right below them, just so you know. And then next up we have Surge, which first of all, this has got to be my favorite iteration of the character by far. So one of my criticisms with Surge in the Breakout series is that he has a little too much lime green on him. Here though, there's like a more healthy dose of the lime green this time around, and there's a bit more of a silver color on him, and he's got this like spinny electrical surge thingy that you can spin around, and also he's got these like really weird Buzz Lightyear wings that protrude up and down. It gives him like a jetpack sort of feel. You know, he really does like kind of feel like a almost color inverted version of Buzz Lightyear, just blue instead of purple. And you know what? I kind of like him for that. And he's also got like these little bullets that you can fire off from his wings, which it's not the best thing in the world, but I really like this one. Without question, one of the best sets of the wave, and I would say this one is easily an S tier one. This is without question my favorite iteration of the character. And then next up we got ourselves Stormers. So yeah, you might have realized I'm having less and less to say about these characters as we go along. He's got basically a very similar build with like white, silver, and light blue. He's got more accents with light blue this time around. And in case you didn't know that he was like an ice character, like he's got these icicle things on his shoulder pads. He's got a unique sword. It's a little better than Raka's, and he's got this weird plane wing thing with the fire ice sort of deal coming out of it. I don't know what the hell that's supposed to be. He's got these like little side bullets on his back that you can move up and down. But I mean, besides that, I don't really have a whole lot to say about him. He's solid, so he's up there as one of the better ones. I think he's my least favorite iteration of the character, but as is, he's fine. He's pretty good. And next up, we got Evo, and oh man, look at how they massacred my boy. But to give it credit, this version of the character is a lot better than he was in the Breakout wave, because like, yeah, he's basically the exact same size. He's also smaller. Right arm is slightly shorter, and he's still got like the circular shoulder pad. But instead of the red, they gave him blue. Like, this could have been a good opportunity to give him purple instead of that, but, I mean, I guess they just wanted to be fucking cowards. But in order to compensate for that, they gave him this spear, which, well, you can open up and it spins around. It's like a little torpedo, so... And also, thinking about it, why couldn't he have been the one to go up against Jawblade if they were going to give him a water iteration instead of giving Inferno this unbelievable humiliation that he suffered? But I mean, yeah, it's a pretty solid set. So it's my least favorite hero design of all of them. So he's gonna go bottom of B. But I mean, he's fine. And then next up we got Furno, whereas Rocka was getting his like Giga Chad protagonist treatment. Furno finally got himself an XL version, which feels appropriate since he was the original character. And of all of the characters getting the Knight treatment, Furno gets it without question the best. So first of all, I wanna congratulate the designers for not like caving into pressure and just making him another version of Firelord, but instead his legs are just really long and bulky. He's got like these weird mace halves on his shoulders. He's got the cool shield with the fire coming out of it. He's also got the really badass fire sword. But the thing that makes him stand out is the cape. Like of course he has to have the cape. Like you can't have a Knights of the Round Table-esque sort of deal with this without someone with the cape. It's a bit of a bitch to get the dust off of it. But yeah, this is a very solid set. I really like this one, and frankly, I kind of wish that Rocka XL was designed more like this one. So yeah, of the XL sets, this is my favorite. This one's gonna go up into S tier. I don't know where. Yeah, you know what? That's fine. Like the ordering is a little loose, but I mean, like, who cares, right? And then last but not least, for the heroes of this wave, we got ourselves the Jet Rocka. I actually had to look this up so I actually remembered the name this time. And it's like Rocka with a jetpack sort of thing. Now, so as far as Rocka is concerned, they made him way taller and gave his pegs, gave the ball joints like extra friction to give him more stability, which there was a reason for that. But like the design itself is just incredibly basic. I mean, that's kind of what you expected because the real star of the show is the jetpack that he wears, and this thing is a bulky motherfucker. It's got like the hood version, and like looking at it, this thing really does kind of look like the box that Buzz Lightyear comes in the Toy Story movies. Like, I mean, just look at it. It definitely looks like that, doesn't it? But like, it's got a ton of girth. It's got like but the main function is you pull a lever to make the wing spread, and then the pea shooters to jut up and forward. And yeah, they gave him the extra pegs to like give him extra stability because yeah, this dude is this thing is a bulky motherfucker, so he definitely needs the stability. So like, yeah, I don't have a ton to say about this one. I would say, like it's very well done. It's just not my favorite design. I think the design is just kind of whatever to me. So I want to say the middle A tier. Like, it's very well done for what it is. It's just I've never really cared that much for the design. And then next up, we got the villains, quote unquote, this time around. Instead of like actual creatures, they're pulling like a jungle boogie sort of thing from Wave 3, where it's instead of like actual villains, it's actually just these creatures that are being possessed and they're being forced to go crazy against their will. First of all, we got Scarrock. So like one thing I want to compliment with these villain sets for the brain attack is that the brain creatures that they come with have these very vivid colors that contrast with the rest of the set so well. Although a couple of them do have like ability to just put the tail of brain creature onto a peg that's on their butt. Some of the I don't remember exactly which ones suffered the problem where the tail has to stretch a little too far, but I mean, I always kept them sticking out because it just looked a lot better in my opinion. But like with Scarrox, he has but like I like the gold and like the green that contrasts with the lime green on his face and the rest of the gold body. And he's got a weird gimmick where his upper limbs are loose and that you can pull lever to like make him move up and down in like a strike motion. And I mean, by itself, it is a little awkward. It's almost like this wave is like leaning towards like a more technic sort of deal. Like it's almost like they were trying to make this a prototype of the Bionicle reboot in a way, but it clearly has a couple weird issues. So like, the set's not bad. I want to stress that. Like the design's cool, but the function is just so awkward. So I want to say here. And then next up we have Pyrox. So first of all, you'd need to have been told that this thing was a Lego, not a Doom Lego set, because like, look at it. It really does look like a bull demon from one of those games, or Pinky. I like the color palette of this dude with black, red, orange, the big broad horns with the demonic face, and then on his left hand he's got this really vicious claw, and this is what Rocka XL's claw should have been. And in his right hand he's got like the spinny thing, kind of like what Surge did. And I mean, I feel like Surge should lose a couple points because it's literally just the same thing, it's just less decorative decorated. But I mean, yeah, this is a pretty good set. Don't have a whole lot to say about it besides that. I'd say A tier. This is a very effective set. And the next up, we got Bruisers. So if you've ever seen my Bionicle video, which again, statistically you have, then you know that I compared the Earth creature, or whatever the hell it was called, from the second wave of the Bionicle reboots. This one, because of the arm function, this is basically that, except 10 times worse. So give us some compliments. Like, the color palette is also really cool, and I like the rocky look of the body and the arm. The look of the arm looks pretty cool, and I also like the use of the chest plate on the right side of his right pectoral. I think that's really cool. And I really don't like this set. This was one of my least favorites. Like, basically the entire time I've had these sets. And like, first of all, the mask is just really ugly and unappealing. I really hate the way this guy looks. And then, as much as I said I like the look of the right arm, but that's about all I like about it. The function is just so boring, where it kind of like Skyrock's, where it's a lever, you move the lever up and down and give him a smashing motion. But that's really all you can do. You can't really do a whole lot of posing with it, and it's just really, really awkward. Like, the only thing you can move on the arm, since it's literally just a Technic piece, is the hand itself. But like, oh wow, that's so cool. Like, yeah, I have never liked this one. I think it's just ugly and it's not fun to use. So this, in my opinion, is like the second to third worst set in the entire series. So that's a very low bar. And then next up we got, I forgot what it was, Ogron or Ogrepon, I don't fucking know. So I will say right off the bat, this dude's color palette is a little strange in some places. Like, I mean, I like the green and the lime green with the red that contrasts with it on the brain. But then he's also got a lot of brown parts, random parts that I guess you could argue he's like a woodland sprite or something like that. And he's got the weird brown vines coming out of the lime green body parts on his legs. But his right hand, he's got the green. But I mean, actually, you know what? If that's the way they're going for, that's actually kind of genius. And in his left hand, he's got the Morningstar mace. I think the way they implemented how they put it on there is a little weird, because the part that holds the mace is like jutting out a little too much from the hand. But like, overall, this is a set that I kind of like more and more the more I'm talking about it. So you know what? Yeah, this one's pretty good. I like this one. It's a solid A tier. So next up, we have Frost Beast, which, first of all, like every other one of these villain sets of this wave, has these intricate names like Pyrox or Skyrox. But this dude, they just got really lazy. Like, okay, no, whatever. He's just Frost Beast. Who cares? If you know me, I like the ice element the best out of any of the elements. Like, if I could have ice powers IRL, that would be super sick. So I mean, I've got a bit of a natural bias. Like, also, I like the color palette of this dude with the white, the blue, and also the contrast with red, with like the creepy with like the gross demonic face, the icicle shoulders, and he's also got a really cool sword. But at the same time, he's got his claw hand is like literally exactly the same as Pyrox's. So I guess you can just say that they're basically two halves of the same coin and just call it a day. But I'm not gonna knock that. I'm gonna go ahead and put him in A tier above Pyrox, because yes, I'm incredibly biased. I like the ice element. And then next up, we have Aquadon. See, there you go. You could have just like called Frost Beast literally something Isodon or something, Frostosaurus, or I don't know. Instead, not fucking Frost Beast. But okay, whatever. So in terms of the design, this dude is like by far the most simple of them. He's just like a very light, skinny fish thingy, like the dark gray, black, and yellow, and then contrast with the big blue. I love that. Although he's got these weird tentacle things on his feet that I really don't understand the point of. And speaking of which, he has the dual swords. That by itself is perfectly fine. But then there's like these things below it, and there's like a circle, and there's like a circular peg that you can connect them to. And I'm just like, what is the point of this? Like, I really don't get it. So like, I guess you can connect them together, and this is like one of the most bafflingly strange decisions that they've ever done with any of these sets. Like, I want to say top of C tier. This one has never really been a favorite of mine. Like, I love the color palette, but like the function is just so confusing to me. I don't get it. And last but not least, in the brain attack is going to be Dragon Bolt. So first of all, very fitting that one of the creatures that gets possessed is a fucking dragon, and it's a really cool looking one at that. An electrical dragon at that. I said earlier that it feels like they were trying to do like beta Bionicle reboot designs with like a mix of modern and Technic sets. He's got small legs but a really long neck, and I love the function of the mouth, where the mouth is literally just part of a foot from like the 1.0 days. I think that's really ingenious, and like I love the contrast of black and blue with like lime green and yellow on the set, especially with the wings. And like I wasn't the biggest fan of the wings in my initial time, like for years when I was younger, because I didn't really like the Technic feel. You can't do a whole lot with the wings. Like, so the function is you push a button, a big red button on his back, and then the wings flap. Like, I think that's really, like, in hindsight, though, I know I complained about some lighter Bionicle sets for doing the Technic sets, like with Lord of the Skull Spiders, and if I can go back and redo that video, I would slightly nicer to the Lord of the Skull Spiders, because this set is actually very charming. I mean, it's got a couple issues, like the tail's kind of boring, and like the horns and the spikes on the tail don't exactly stay properly all the time. They're a little wobbly, but as is, I think this is a really good set. He's going to go up in A tier. He's not quite S tier, but I'd definitely say he's an A tier set. And then last but not least, we got ourselves Invasion from Below, and okay, I'm just gonna get this out of the way. These are the sets I did not own. Okay, like, granted, I owned a couple of them, but that's because I was low-key starved on trying to get some of these Lego sets at the time. But, like, they went from, like, Bionicles to, like, these extra special Technic new piece systems, and then they just kind of dropped the ball a little bit by instead turning them into, like, minifigure sets, kind of like with the classic one, kind of like with, like, OG Lego, and this was a decision I absolutely hated. I did not like this at all. I really don't like the little Lego sets. I mean, yes, I did have a couple that were similar to that, like this ice sort of themed one. I don't remember what it was called. I'll probably put a picture up if I can find it. But even then, I hated the minifigure designs because they just look so weird and stubby. And you might be like, oh, but Jimbo, didn't you like the Lego movie? Didn't you see that? Wasn't that good? And yes, I will say I have seen those movies. I like those movies, but that's in spite of the designs. I have never liked those designs whatsoever. I only like the movies mostly because of the writing and humor. And okay, yeah, there's a couple of the sets that are like more akin to like the previous Hero Factory sets, but they're also complemented, quote unquote, with the minifigures. And also, I don't know, like some of the designs just feel like they don't belong with this. Like the monster heads look so fake and plastic. I have never liked these. Most of these are gonna go into the never own, so like who gives a shit? You know, like, go ahead and make your own tier list on that if you decide you don't like my opinions or whatever. Although I think I would like the Monster Queen or whatever it's called, even if the color palette's a little on the strange side. So I had these 5 here. So Purple Beast with Stormer, C tier, I don't really care, it's just boring or whatever. The Stormer one, yeah, it's up there, but I don't care. Rocka Stealth Machine. I like the claw, and I also like the container. Normal one's better, though. I don't care. And then there's this one, which is like a set that you can like split them up in 2, and it's like a flying vehicle. So that's neat. I don't give a shit though, because it's really ugly and boring. And then last but not least, we have this one. I do remember liking some of the functions in this one. Like you can turn the torso 360 degrees and you can fire off bullets. That's pretty neat. B tier is the best I'm willing to go with him. So, like, again, I don't give a shit. And there we go. I've done a tier list on every single Lego series I like. Yeah, there's only 2 of them, so don't bother asking me trying to do a Ninjago one. And so this is going to be the final tier list. So I hope this was worth the wait, and I'm definitely not salty that I had to do the second half of this tier list twice, because Bandai Cam decided to mess up on me for no reason. I'm tired. I'm gonna go ahead and go eat some food because I'm starving right now. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Take care.